All right, traders, welcome to today's recap. This is Christian from Hertz Tribeca Trade Group, and sorry, a little bit later of a recap today. We did a really long webinar today, so members only webinar. We talked about strategy for 2018. We talked about today's activity, which was just a monster day, and so let's go through a couple charts here. So again, if you're not a member of Tribeca Trade Group, check us out for a trial. You can email me. You can email info@tribecatrategroup.com, and I'm happy to set you up with a couple day trials just to see what it's all about. But our analysis, I think, has just been second to none, as well as some of the positions and I'll show you the positions that we have on here. They've just been monster positions. So some really good stuff. So I think last week we kind of went over a couple times. Friday stunk. I thought it was month-end selling. Really, at the end of the day, what we noticed, I do compute the ETF fund flow data, and there was a $6.2 billion outflow in SPY. Now, what that tells me is there just wasn't, what has to happen every month end, which I'm not going to spend that much time on this because there's too many other important things to talk about. But what has to happen on every month end is there's indexers that need to sell. They do these first of the month trades, they do these end of the month trades. So normally on the end of the month we do see a little bit of volatility, but because it was so low volume, there was so few market participants in there, things really got dicey at the end of the day because there wasn't enough other volume to really pick up the pace. So a couple of those people who had to sell for whatever reason on Friday really took the market down. But I didn't make any portfolio changes. I wasn't happy with the price action. But I really didn't do anything because, besides what we saw at the end of the day, last week was just very quiet. There wasn't a lot of action. There was some small call buying in some certain things. It kind of gave us a few nice signals for this week. But there just really wasn't that much to get excited about. And again, it goes back to the don't short a dull market, which is what we had last week. So that's all I'm going to talk about the S&P. The Qs, I actually put on a trade on Friday. I just thought the Qs were due for a bounce. I thought the sentiment had gotten pretty negative, and I put a trade on that actually went down in value because I put it on about 30 minutes to the close on Friday, but I put on a dollar-wide call spread that expires this week for 24 cents. I took the majority of it off today for I think around 68 cents. So almost a triple. And it just seemed like a really good shot to take. So weekly options, every once in a while you could put on a trade like that, and you'll get a double or triple. And that's why we play with weekly options every once in a while. That is not my bread and butter, but if you want to exploit a short-term opportunity, we certainly had this set up on Friday when really nothing had been going on all week in Qs. It was just underperforming. And I just kind of made a hunch that, hey, at some point, I didn't think it was all going to happen on Tuesday, but I thought at some point the Qs were due for a bounce, and again, I took the majority of that trade off for a triple, so or just about a triple. So really, really nice trade. But we can talk about a couple things that I thought were interesting. This was something. Let's see if I can bring this up really quick. I apologize, I don't have this up. But I look at this relationship between the Chinese internets. This has been a phenomenal trade that we've been very alert on. If you look at where the Chinese internets trade to the Hang Seng, remember the Hang Seng trades overnight, but when it rallies a lot, usually it's a good indication of what the Chinese internet group is going to do. Now, again, tons of people tweeting out different individual names in this group. It's real, and it's really the whole group, guys. And I always kind of chuckle a little bit when I see people tweet out one name in energy or one name in tech when it's the whole damn group that is moving. So this Chinese internet group was up 4.6. The ETF, guys, the ETF, not just the individual names. The ETF was up 4.6%. And you could see that it was trading underneath the orange line. You could see, obviously, today, this is today's candle. But before today started, you had a monster opportunity where the Chinese internets were trading cheap to the local shares, to the Hang Seng index. Again, it's not the same names in the Hang Seng, but you can kind of see the relationship over time stands very well. So whenever this trades, the ADRs or the U.S. names trade cheap to the Hang Seng, it's works out very well, and it worked out. It did it last week too, and it just sometimes it doesn't happen that day. But with China gapping up last night, you had a great opportunity today. So I think that was the home run for the day. Besides that, there was just a lot of other groups. I mean, look at steel names. Again, the whole ETF, the SLX ETF, the basket of names, up 4.1%. So again, everybody tweeting out, oh, look at this name, and this name is so strong. Guys, if you're, that's true. That's completely true. But it's the whole group. Like, I don't understand why people can't, like, they can't look to see just the people just talking about U.S. Steel or Nucor. Look at the whole group. It's not the one name that's making the move. And sometimes it happens like this, sometimes it doesn't. But again, this is the whole ETF. Same thing with XME, the whole metals and mining space. Every name, full participation. So I could go through single name charts, and I do that. I've got a lot of single name positions on, but it's just funny. People were tweeting like crazy today, and I like the people that I follow. They do a really good job, but it's like wait, you gotta wake up a little bit. It's not just one name that looks great. Same thing, energy stocks. XOP up 2.8%, biotech 2.8%. Again, FCG, this is the just nat gas companies, 2.7%. SMH, semis, 2.6%. So again, just a huge risk on day. I mean, that's as best as I could tell you. What didn't perform is all the defensive names. Utilities down 1%, XLP down 60 basis points. So all the defensive names did not participate. So I could tell you, here's my cash portfolio. I have no problem sharing this with you. This is my cash trend portfolio. Look at the names that I've got on here. First Solar now up 63%. This was a simple add on a 200-day moving average. I actually went over this in today's webinar. We talked about. I'll bring this up over here. We talked about First Solar for one, because we're going to be looking at starting a new portfolio, trend following with options this year. But if you go back to just a 1-year chart, where did I get in on this trade? Right on the break of the 50-day moving average, right on May 5th. Since then, this thing has just been up and away. It hasn't even gotten close to like breaking the 100-day moving average. So real nice. I don't want to jinx that name, but First Solar up 62%. My portfolio was up 3% versus the S&P up 80 basis points. So real nice outperformance, big outperformance for me, as well as 2017. Steel, so I'm long a couple individual names like FCX, which is up 30%. I'm long. Where's XME? I'm sorry, XOP. XME is not in here. SLX, that's what I'm thinking of. That one's up 28% since we put it on. But I mean, just a colossal. I'm really hit it nice with the names that have been outperforming. So material names, steel names. I've got those names on. I've also got decent exposure now to energy. XOP, since I put that one on, is up 9.5%. And then I'm also pretty long with China. So I'm going to actually look to maybe pare down because I've got a lot of exposure to emerging markets. This is a trade that I put on just on December 7th. It's up 9%. China ETF. So some really nice outperformance. So all those names you hear people tweeting about, I don't just tweet about these names. I put them on, and then I manage them. So Twitter is another name that did pretty well today. Big call buying in this one, up 23%. PBR, which saw some call buying also. This one's just up 8%, but it just goes on and on with names that I've got on here that have just been absolutely crushing it. So a cash portfolio up 3%. My option portfolio, I think, was up about 11% today. So option activity, I'm just going to run through really quickly because I've got to run out the door. But yeah, I mean, look at the list of names today that we saw aggressive call activity. Take your pick. We saw a little bit of Amazon. We saw a little bit of Google. We saw Micron. We saw Twitter calls go up several times. We saw emerging market ETFs go up today. We saw Alibaba, which absolutely crushed it today. We saw JD.com calls go up today. It just goes on and on and on. So, you didn't have to be really, really picky today. But just some nice trades, and not every trade was a huge trade. I'm looking for the big, chunkier trades. If someone just trades a $20,000 option position, while it may be aggressive, I don't care. Look at the options, because I could be trading that. That could be my order. Twitter, look at the order in Twitter. This was a $1 million trade here. $250,000. This one was tied, but $1 million trade here. So really chunky, nice, big Twitter calls. Again, I could go over every little trade that went up, which I think is just good sentiment for the whole group. But there was just basically a full participation. Nice big block of Nucor calls as well. Big call spread in Wells Fargo today. SLCA, this is a chart that I really like. Exxon, also another name. Here's SLCA, which I put out this chart. I got a lot of people who apparently liked it, but just at the 200-day moving average, and there's your setup as well as the 200-day moving average. Exxon, look at the chart in Exxon. I was going to wait till the end of the day to put this thing on, and it just kept on going. But real nice break out of a base here. I mean, you can't really ask for much more. Look at this base that you've got and this resistance, and then bam, through resistance. So really, really exciting day, I think, for a lot of people who stayed the course and didn't let every person scare the hell out of them. There was one guy who was saying last week that towards the end of last week to watch your stops on such a low volume, just talking about over trading and over analyzing. Again, so last week just didn't give you a lot of opportunities where there was things that ran. So as long as you kind of didn't get spooked out of the market on a low volume week, I think today set up pretty nice for you. So thanks for watching. Have a great night. See you back in the room tomorrow morning.